Welcome to Lunch with Tech Leaders, where we have engaging conversations about software development and cloud engineering with industry leaders and subject matter experts. These episodes are created by the Great Lakes Tech Leaders, an online community of technology practitioners. Please come join the conversation by visiting gltl.rbn.ai. Again, that's gltl.rbn.ai. Now strap in, because we're deploying to production in 3, 2, 1.
Tom, welcome in.
Howdy.
How are things?
Great. How are you doing?
Doing well. Let's go ahead and do a round of introductions, I suppose. Tom?
Yeah. Tom Kowalski. I work at DaySmart Software, the chief architect title now. Working there for 16 years now.
Wow.
Started off development and gravitated more towards the infrastructure side of things. Migrated us over to AWS 10 years ago.
Cool.
Just overall technology strategy of the company.
All right. Looks like we've got Spencer. Spencer, are you able to hear us? We're not able to hear you. All right. Let's see. Anybody else want to? Kayla, why don't you introduce yourself just real quick?
Yeah, I'm Kayla Norris. I work at Right Brain Networks. I'm a Linux systems engineer. Only been here about 2 years now, doing lots of AWS infrastructure stuff.
Cool. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? All right. Great. So, yeah, feel free to chime in. This conversation is going to be about log consolidation of AWS, specifically about AWS logs such as CloudTrail, VPC flow logs, config logs, stuff like that. So we were wondering what everybody else is doing, and then we can kind of talk about how we've been doing things.
Yeah, I kick it off. So yeah, we've kind of jumped around a lot in our logging ventures. So it used to be everything went to database, right? SQL Server. Moved away from that. Moved to more of like an Elk stack that we ran in AWS using their Elasticsearch offering.
Tom, I think just to kind of course correct here, we're going to do a couple different iterations of this. So application logging, I think, is going to be next week. So we're kind of talking about the AWS specific stuff, like the CloudTrail logs, VPC flow logs, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it depends, right? Our use case for it. We consolidate everything to like an auditing AWS account that we hook up different tools to. Right now we're using Lacework to from a security side of things. It goes through all the CloudTrail logs. I forget what else they look at. That's really the only thing we have going right now that we have kind of consolidated.
So you guys are streaming them to a separate account?
Yes.
Are you using Control Tower over there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's definitely a good way to go. Are you following that same pattern with flow logs?
We don't leverage anything with the flow logs at this time. We really haven't had a need for it. We did at one point with another security tool that we were using. But yeah, right now, nothing. I think only some apps and accounts are consolidating and going somewhere, but yeah, we're currently not using those for anything.
You mentioned lace work. Does that did you evaluate that against guard duty?
I didn't do it myself. We're growing now, so we got a security department. So we had somebody else kind of vet that out, and he used it at another place. And even AWS was recommending them over, because some of the shortfalls, right, of guard duty, and it's a lot more comprehensive, just from what I've been diving in and playing around with. A lot better interface.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, so we're following the same practice, right? You know, we recommend guard duty, or not guard duty, control tower, which sets up an audit account and a log archive account. And
Yeah.
so what that also does, and then it allows other accounts in the organization to use it as its control tower and or not control tower, CloudTrail, and you know, any of those other logs.
Yeah, or forces them to, like all of
Yeah,
ours.
yeah, for
they're-
CloudTrail, definitely it forces
Yeah.
them. We do turn on flow logs everywhere. So that's something that we kind of have to set up ourselves, right? So we make a new bucket for flow logs in the log archive account, and then set up the cross account access to be able to send those over there. The idea of having this this separate account is to kind of provide some more integrity around those logs. So if somebody does something malicious, they can't just go delete the CloudTrail log that that proves that they were the one that did something. They have to have access to the log archive account, which you know, should be extremely locked down and controlled.
Yeah, that's it. That's how we have it. What do you do with the flow logs? Like, what do you have? You have a tool looking at them to make it easier?
Yeah, we typically start with guard duty, and if people, yeah, if people need like you know, more other stuff, you know, we'll stream them from the log archive account into like Splunk or whatever they need. They like whatever SIEM they're using or whatever.
Okay, yeah, I think the one account that we have that does have it turned on, right, and is putting them somewhere. Also, is the one that we used to have guard duty, or I think it's still running, but we don't leverage it as our main part of our process, right? Part of our HIPAA compliance, right? Of looking at guard duty. Now it's all through lace work. So.
Yeah, understandable. I found that guard duty does pretty well for us at like a base level. We do, and you know, another thing, it's just nice to have them on so that you don't have to go and do a bunch of configuration to be able to like track down a network issue or something like that. If it's already on, then you just hook up Athena, or have somebody who has access to that account hook up Athena, and you can just search through the logs and figure out like, oh well, no wonder that packet's not getting there. You're getting blocked here and stuff like that. So
yeah, we just had it never answered a question for us, right? It never it never was useful for us. So that's why we don't require it or do it on other things. One of our other products from a company that we acquired, they leverage that a lot more. They use Splunk though. Most of their stuff isn't even in AWS though. So
okay.
That was the other reason too that they went with Lacework. It's because 90% of their app is still not in AWS, and they can leverage it, like the agents and stuff. So it does like the CloudTrail and stuff like that, but it also will do like agent more active based monitoring. So they wanted that like all-in-one solution. But yeah, we were fine with guard duty right up until that point. That they wanted to use a different thing. But yeah, it worked for us for checking off the boxes for HIPAA compliance and monitoring it and yeah.
I would expect with HIPAA that you would have to have flow logs turned on. Is that not the case?
That the app that has to be HIPAA compliant does have them turned on.
Okay, yeah, that
So
makes sense. And I was going to say, like, another turn we make sure to turn those on just by default is because at some point we like to see our clients get a stamp of some sort of compliance if where necessary. So
yeah, but I think it's just for show right now. Yeah, because I can't tell you the last time it was years ago since we actually tried to look at them, right, and try to useful information to solve something. But yeah,
cool. What about I guess retention? How all these things end up in buckets. So using the life cycle policies is obviously the right move, but how long are people keeping their logs?
those ones
If you're in
indefinite.
compliance mode, you kind of just go based on what the recommendation or requirement from compliance is. But curious if anybody's kind of instilled their own policies.
For those type of logs, it's not that much space. We just have those indefinite right now. No, some of the application logs, right? It's a different story, but
yeah, the application logs definitely build up quite a bit quicker sometimes.
Yeah.
Got quite a few people here. Has anybody else got anything to chime in on? Any questions about AWS log consolidation and stuff like that? Maybe you're doing something that's not using Control Tower.
So a question for you, and given that we have Lacework and it makes it a little easier to see things going on in there, do you just use guard duty to look at those logs, or are you also using like Athena to look at CloudTrail logs
you
in
would
there?
need Athena to
Okay.
guard duty will analyze them and show you things that it thinks may be sketchy, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if
tools for two separate use cases.
Yeah. So have you had to get in there, right, and look at CloudTrail logs directly? Okay.
Oh yeah. If we need to review a security event, or if we're trying to troubleshoot, typically just using CloudTrail. For CloudTrail, you can just view them right there in the interface, and that typically does pretty good for troubleshooting. Yeah. But if we're trying to correlate something that's like cross account, maybe we'll use Athena. And then for flow logs, we would use Athena because there's really no nice interface for it.
Yeah. It's nice. The problem is that you only use it a couple times a year maybe, so you forget. I'm not in Athena that often, right? I don't know that whatever that format is, so it takes me an entire day just to get used to the syntax and query and all of that. So it's kind
enough days go by, you get better at it.
Yeah.
Another thing is WAF logs, right? So the WAF
wants
to I think its only output is Kinesis, or I think it's Kinesis Firehose. So there's not a good way to get those logs into something. Well, not necessarily. The Kinesis Firehose is pretty good at what it does, but we typically will just stream those into the log archive account as well and use Athena to review those when necessary. So what I see a lot is somebody will be like, oh, I trying to upload an asset, and I'm getting a block from the WAF. Can you help me dig through the logs and figure out what rule set we're hitting here?
Yeah, I like that, and we want to move towards that, because right now it's in each account, and that's probably what we use diving in the most, right, using Athena is to look at WAF rules, and WAF, whatever events. But yeah, I would. So do you have that set up, like any automation when like add in accounts to also like set up the WAF, right, and those to go to that login account?
Yeah, we just stream to the login account.
Do you have like automation now? When you spin up new accounts to like set all that up, or?
Yep, absolutely. So we've moved on to using the CDK, and so
Same here.
each account is obviously a stage, or I guess now they're calling them environments, and then we have a base, like we have a base kind of account setup stack that happens on each account, which kind of takes the guard duty, or the control tower baseline, and extends it a little bit. Now, control tower, you can provide your own template to kind of get ran during account creation. We haven't really dabbled in that. We just run a stack across the board from our infrastructure code.
So what, you're using CDK to create the accounts?
No, once the account's created, we add it to CDK, and then there's a so we've got this, what do you call it? Inheritance through our stacks, or through our code, which applies like OU level things. So each, like if you're in an OU that needs this default configuration, it automatically configures that for that environment stack. There's a stack there, we just got to deploy it.
Okay. Be interesting to see that. Did you guys open source that?
I mean, it's
CDK?
pretty specific to each setup, but
okay.
Tom, if you would have came to the AWS meetup last month, I did a talk about it.
I've tried to. They haven't worked out for me each day. So, but the summer, I'm a lot of traveling.
Mm-hmm. Understandable, but yeah, that's what we went through last week at the meetup, or last month at the meetup.
Nice. Yeah, we don't have anything like that. That's like a base stack that we could put on there, like initially for each account. And I would like to do that. But yeah, everything else that we have, all our CDK stuff is open source. We do.
Your CDK repository is open source?
Yeah, anything that's not specific to the apps.
You've got like a library of constructs that you've published. Okay, yeah. Cool. Just send me a link to that. I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Or why don't you just put it in the channel that what is this, lunch with tech leaders, so that anybody who's interested can take a peek. That'd be helpful. Cool. I would like to get to the point of publishing our own constructs, but right now everything's pretty. I wouldn't say it's super specific, but what we're doing is we are extending like the provided constructs and just kind of tweaking what we need to. So we'll like inherit from the construct like that kind of matches what we want to do, and then anything in there we just kind of tweak, and then that way when we're using it at the stack level, everything kind of acts as it would if you were just using the L2 construct, but then we kind of got some flavor in there to make sure that we add DNS automatically and stuff like that. All the little nice to haves we like to add in.
Yeah, we have like a mix. We're trying really hard to make it more like use case, right? So like if something's like a static website, a construct, right? So that it does all your stuff for you that you would have for like a static website, and things like that. Is it, how do you chat in this? How do I post something?
I was thinking in the Great Lake Text Leader.
Oh,
Slack,
yeah.
there's a Lunch with Tech Leaders
There we go.
channel. Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll take a look at that. Kayla, I saw you go off mute when I was asking if anybody else had any topics about AWS logs that they want to bring up.
Yeah, I had a question. Like, what would be kind of some of like the benefits versus like the downfalls of using guard duty over something else?
Guard duty is relatively cheap.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
And it just kind of built into the platform. So I think that's the big advantage there.
Just working right out of the box, right? If everything's in AWS, it just, it checks off all the boxes, right? Even for like HIPAA compliance, things like that. But yeah, definitely cheaper, right? Like Lacework, I don't even know how much we pay, but it's magnitudes more.
Yeah, so Kayla, I think the short answer is integration. It's just there and easy. It's already easy to use. And then the other one would be it's cheap comparatively to other like SIEM type software. A lot of the times, those SIEM things that kind of look for security events and stuff like that, analyze all your logs for security events. They get really expensive because they are priced usually on like how much data that it's looking through. So when you're talking like gigabytes of logs a day or or more, the cost goes up pretty quick.
And then the cost of getting it just outside of AWS, depending on how much it is, right? They don't like the data going out of AWS and charging you for that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of them as well. You know what? I've been sitting here talking on mute for a moment.
I was wondering if,
No.
we're on mute there.
So yeah, I mean, anybody got any other questions or anything like that? We can go off topic or do whatever we want, really. It's just I saw some new faces. If you guys got anything you wanted to chat about specifically? Floor is kind of open.
Yeah, I wasn't too prepared for like the config logs. I was really thinking application logging.
Yeah, I mean, we can dig into that.
I don't know. It's like,
we had split it kind of because I figured, there's so many layers to log consolidation, right? I figured we could probably have half-hour topics out of a number of them. Let me double check. I think that's we put up a schedule, and I think it was supposed to be next month that we were going to talk application logs, but can definitely get started on it. These meetings are supposed to be free form, kind of like sitting around the lunch table. We can go wherever we want to. Yeah, so there's a centralized logging part 2, Docker and application logs, and then there's a part 3, using third-party services for logging.
Yeah, really breaking it up. So yeah, I would talk about for application, right? We kind of moved away from a bunch of stuff and moved to all New Relic, dumping all of our logs there.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
New looks cool.
Yeah, now that they have a lot better support for logging.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've used it for performance, but I have not used it for log consolidation.
Yeah, they just really beefed it up. I mean, you could have in the past, but like they really made it like, first class support for it, and it's all integrated into everything. So, and that now it's HIPAA compliant.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it was really easy for us to. It's just a better user experience too for our developer experience. Having it all in there really drove the adoption even more of New Relic, which we kind of struggled with. But yeah, now that it's all kind of in there, so.
Yeah, great. Yeah, for the longest time I was kind of a holdout. I would always build elk stacks for our customers, and the management, even using an AWS managed ES was kind of still cumbersome, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
We recently got the opportunity to use Datadog, and man, it was just night and day difference between fumbling around in either CloudWatch logs or managing an elk stack. So I really like that experience. That was good for us, I think.
Yeah. I haven't done too much with Datadog. One of the companies we acquired is using them. I dabbled in it a bit, but yeah.
I really like
is.
Datadog. I like having the visualization. Personally, for me, it's a lot easier to kind of figure out what's going wrong when I can just look at a dashboard versus trying to dig through some AWS logs that you have to keep clicking each new line open.
Yeah, and even if you're making like, I think it's come a long ways. I haven't done it in a long time, but like Kibana, different.
Yeah, building alerting and
yeah.
Visualizations inside of Kibana is, like I said, cumbersome.
Yeah, I don't miss it.
Yeah, and the alerting is kind of weird too, because it's like not very integrated. Feels like there's gotta separate things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, like the awesome thing about using these is that we're really pushing all of our app devs to be logging in JSON, which makes searching and finding things and like correlating issues and making cool visualizations and stuff like that, like heat maps about where your traffic is coming from and all that, much more easy without having to parse a log and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you enforce any type of standardization with the JSON logging, or is it just kind of make sure it's just a JSON object and the logging?
Yeah, JSON object is a good place to start, and then is I think the app devs kind of agreeing on like what attributes are important to their application is good to make sure that people are across the board are following a good structure there, because how do I put it, like let's say like if you have obviously like a user ID being dropped into every log would be extremely useful, because if you've got reports of a single user having issues, you can just filter the logs by their user ID, or same thing for like like object level information, right? So like, okay, this user is working on I don't know, this, like Tom, you guys do scheduling, so maybe there's like an event, and you just like anytime they're working with making calls for a specific event, you log the event ID, so that when you're looking through and trying to debug stuff, you can just say, okay, we know they're having a problem with this event ID. Let's look up all the logs that have that associated.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that sounds like a great thing to talk about next time,
Yep.
since
Yep.
we're actually out of time.
Yeah. So let's
I
get this
did
wrapped
want to
up.
note logging user information. Be careful to stay compliant with the various privacy
Oh yeah.
regulations, like log user ID, not name.
Yep. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this August 17th. It doesn't look like we have that the next the application logs scheduled. We're talking next week about immutability, state scaling, and then VPNs is the week after. I'll let Hannah know that we should schedule like application logs the first week in September. There we go.
Yeah, that comes down to the retention too, which I mentioned there. Like, so you can't stop all of it, right, from getting in there, no matter how hard you try, or getting the PI in there. So we kind of enforce like the retention of only like the 30 days to maintain compliant of that, right? Because it's, if there's any like GDRP requests or whatever to like erase things and things like that, it's all, flushed out within 30 days. So
Well, I mean, sometimes compliance requires you to keep like access logs for longer than that, though. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's different, right? The config access logs, we keep that indefinitely, never change it, and that's easier to make sure there's no PII.
Are you talking about config access as in like, getting on the machines or something like that? Or are you talking about like access to the application, like who's logged in and what they were doing with what data?
I'm talking about machine.
If somebody's accessing like medical data, you might want to keep that, make note that, they access this data, and keep that around so that you have a trail of, who's looking at confidential information.
That's built into the app itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Versus like logging,
Well, that's
monitoring
handy.
things like that. Yeah. So the logging, debug monitoring, things like that, those logs are flushed every 30 days. But then like compliance of that app is storing, right, like access logs and things like that within its own database.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we're out of time. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll talk soon. Thanks everybody for joining. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yep. See ya.